Hi again everyone. So what we're having a look at in this video is a wee introduction to the analysis of imagery in the context of a close reading paper. Now, like the word choice videos and like the sentence structure videos, the things that I'm going through here are still useful for your critical essays, but how it's been presented here is very much in the structure of how you're going to come across it and how you'll answer it in the close reading paper. But it is useful in other areas. So the first thing to have a think about, I suppose, is what is imagery. People sometimes use this explanation, imagery is something that puts a picture in your head, which I suppose is fine if you're in primary school, but it's not really enough at National 5 and higher. You do need to understand what imagery is, and it's the use of comparisons between two things in order to achieve particular effects, basically, is what it is. So the obvious examples of that are similes and metaphor, which are very, very similar, very closely related. But similes are where you say that something is, funnily enough, similar to something else, whereas metaphors are where you compare them by saying that they are the same as something else. So you can see the example there. The simile is my brother eats like a pig, whereas the metaphor is my brother is a pig. The implication of it, the effect of that is going to be similar. It'll depend whether which one you use would depend on all sorts of things, including personal writing style. Similes are generally seen as being the simplest form of metaphor because it's easy to do. This is like something else, or this is as fast as, or something like that, something else. So if it uses like or as, it's a simile, and anyone can identify that. Metaphors can be a little bit more tricky, but anytime you see something, some kind of comparison or something being described as something else, when it clearly isn't literally that thing. So the brother isn't literally physically a pig. So therefore, the important thing here is going to be the comparison, and that's how you know it's imagery. Another version of imagery is personification. It comes up a little bit less often in the stuff that we do in the classes, but it's still important. So things like the grass dancing in the breeze, it's where you sort of transfer living sort of human qualities onto things that aren't human, basically. So that thing, the grass dancing in the breeze, it's still imagery because it's still got a literal interpretation, which is the grass is moving as the wind blows. But if all you wanted to say was the grass is moving as the wind blows, you would just say that. The grass danced in the breeze suggests other things. It hints at a particular sort of idea. It gives you maybe a sense that this is a really happy scene that's being described. It's a bright day, it's sunny, the sun's out, it's a hillside somewhere in the countryside. The grass danced in the breeze has particular implications which would be different from a simple literal explanation of the wind blew over the grass and it therefore moved. So like word choice, the focus with imagery is implications, not direct meaning, but what's been implied, because the implications are what get you towards the effect that different techniques have on the person reading the text. So just a wee tip here. So for National 5, when you write your answers for imagery, you can treat it much like word choice. I'll show you marking schemes, and if you look at them, they don't really draw much distinction, sometimes not any distinction between word choice and imagery at National 5. However, those of you who are looking to go on to do higher after National 5, it probably is worth trying to do it properly early on. People in higher, you will need to be able to deal with imagery as distinct from word choice, which it is, so it's not unreasonable. And this wee template you can see here is something that we'll have a look at as we go through the year. There are different ways to do it, but this one here, just as, so too. So it lets you take the sort of the literal and the metaphorical together, basically, and explain it in a way that is going to convince the marker that you understand it fully, and therefore obviously get the marks. All right, so there'll be a video for National 5 and for higher, which will look in a bit more detail at analysing imagery, give you an example question and an example answer, so you've seen what it is that we're looking for. We'll then go into sentence structure, and obviously there's lots and lots of past papers that you can have a look at to see examples of imagery questions. Like word choice, they often come up as questions asking about use of language or something like that.